Hi everybody, my name is Nick. My name is Nick Weir, and I work for Royal Caribbean. Anyone ever taken a cruise? Anyone taken a cruise with Royal Caribbean? Okay, so I do all the entertainment on board. Anyone ever want to get into entertainment? Anyone want to be an actor or a dancer or a singer or a musician? Okay, so hopefully in a few years you'll be auditioning for us. Okay, pay attention everybody. I have some prepared remarks. So obviously Royal Caribbean are sponsoring a big part of the show. We're very proud. I love books. Do you love books? Books are a beautiful thing. Books are a beautiful thing. And today I'm going to introduce a real dynamic duo in the world of creating books, okay? These people are, in my opinion, they're the rock stars now. The people that write books, they're the superstars of the world. Going to be bringing out Kirsten Miller. She's a fantastic author, acclaimed author of the Kiki Strike book. She's awesome. By the way, there's going to be an interview. You'll hear all about them in a minute in more detail. Of course, we have the famous actor and author, Jason Segel is here. Oh, what? Come on. He's not going to come on for that. Make some noise. So, I used to love Freaks and Geeks, and of course he's also, yeah, it's awesome. I'm a geek, not a freak. How I Met Your Mother. Come on. Wow, it's loud in here, I like it. And they have recently worked on a book called Otherworld, and let me tell you, this book is hip because, and I know this because I'm in the entertainment business, and I'm constantly working with people that are creating virtual reality experiences. So anyone played with virtual reality a little bit at home with the video games? Okay, so it's in the beginning phases, but it's gonna get really great. And in this book, virtual reality is taken to a whole new level. And in some cases, it's kind of a scary level. Okay, that is it. I'm done. I'm gonna bring them on. I have warmed you up, but I want you to make the roof disappear, completely blow it off the place. Would you warmly welcome Kirsten Miller and Jason Segel? Make some noise.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Becky Randall. I'm a writer for a bunch of magazines like People Magazine, and I'm going to be chatting with Jason and Kirsten and hopefully get some really good info out of them. So let's start with a simple one I bet everybody would want to hear. What is a fact about you guys that your readers might not know?
Wow. Do you have any secret facts about yourself?
Oh, I have so many secrets,
Yeah.
but this is
Now's
probably
the
not
time.
I'd like to share all of my secrets with a bunch of people I've never met before. Let's see. Well, I am absolutely fascinated with sanitation systems. It's kind of a passion of mine. We've actually discussed this before, but if there is a sewer museum anywhere around, I will definitely be the first one there. I don't know why, it just interests me.
Yeah, you could go a couple blocks over. They have some good sewage displays.
Well, that's why she and I get along, is we both like really weird stuff. I guess an interesting fact is that I learned to write on Freaks and Geeks from our producer, Judd Apatow. That was a really writing-heavy group of people, and when Freaks and Geeks ended, Judd Apatow took some of us aside and said, listen, the only way you're going to make it in this business is if you start writing your own material. And he taught us how to write, and that changed my life.
Wow, good teacher.
Yeah.
Not bad. And what about one thing that you want readers to know about Otherworld?
Well, first of all, it's super fun. It's like Princess Bride or The Last Starfighter. It's a fun adventure. But I think also we really explore this question that we're all dealing with right now of what is real. That's, we're at this moment of like fake Twitter accounts
Right.
and Instagram lifestyle and fake news, and we really go hard at that idea of trying to figure out what we're supposed to care about.
For sure.
Yeah, and also taking a look at all the technology that's coming out, because there's stuff being introduced every day. And even something like virtual reality, it seems so fun. It's going to make games much more exciting. You're going to be able to travel the world without leaving your living room, but also asking the question, what comes after that? And who's in control, and who's making sure that these technologies are used for our advantage and not for our disadvantage. And we've been letting other people make these decisions for us, and I think it's time that all of us, especially people your age, start getting involved and asking these important questions too.
This is actually, like right now, this moment is actually a good example, I realize. You will be able to attend this event from your living room at some point, very soon. You'll be able to strap on a visor and have what they will promise you is this experience. But my belief is there's something about actually coming here and running into other people and seeing what might happen, the weird circumstance and chance that happens when you're out and about and exploring life that could be completely eliminated if you only curate experiences from sitting on your couch with a visor on.
So this is real, right?
I think it is.
Hey man, it's
Just
a big
making
question.
sure.
Yeah, you don't
I
know.
hope so.
He's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was it sort of like chicken and egg? Did what was happening in the world and seeing that stuff, was that part of your inspiration, or did you start and then saw that other stuff come about and realized there was this relationship?
Well, I got to do a demo of Oculus Rift about 3 years ago, right before the consumer release. And they take you through all these different scenarios, and some of them you're in space, and some of them you're in a war scenario, and there's all the sort of cliche reasons that those feel scary, but honestly they didn't. They felt fun, they felt exciting.
Right.
The one that scared me the most was the Netflix app, where I don't know if any of you guys have tried the Netflix app in virtual reality, but what it is just the most beautiful living room you've ever seen. And then in front of you is a 75-inch flat screen TV on which you watch Netflix. That's
So
it.
meta.
Yeah, it is meta. And what hit me about it, honestly, like, if they can offer you an experience that's just a little bit better than your actual living room,
Right.
a little bit better than your real life, why will you choose real life? And that to me is scary, because what it looks like is a bunch of people sedated in visors watching Netflix, just binge watching
Right.
television. And there's a lot of people who make money off us who would love that,
Right.
but it robs you of life.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's another weird thing. How many of you guys have actually tried any virtual reality sort of stuff? Okay. Yeah, so a lot. So here's what freaked me out about it. When you put that visor on your head, you're so vulnerable. You can't see, you don't know what's happening around you, there's no way you don't know what's happening in the vicinity of your body.
Yeah.
Like often you can't even see your hands with the current technology, and it's really unnerving.
Yeah.
And it made us think, so you put this visor on and you leave your body behind, what happens to your body? And if you're in there for a long time, like how are you gonna take care of it?
Yeah.
Are you gonna pay somebody to do it for you? I mean, it just sort of like, once you have that experience, it starts bringing up lots and lots of questions. So,
Yeah, I got a Matrix vibe when reading it. It reminded me of.
Yeah. Well, for people of our generation, I don't know, you guys are a fair amount younger than me. I'm 37 years old now. But when The Matrix came out, it literally changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember
like-
going to see The Matrix thinking, oh my gosh, they've done it. I
Yeah.
saw it during the pilot episode of Freaks and Geeks with Seth
No
Rogen.
way.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. That's when Seth Rogen and I became best friends. He walked over to me
That's
like,
a good moment
yeah,
to think about.
he walked over and he was like, hey, you want to see The Matrix? And I was like, yep, and that was it.
Oh my God, can you do his laugh?
I don't know.
Wow. So did you guys do, you obviously tried the Oculus Rift, and then from there to research the book, did you do a lot of virtual reality stuff and constantly see the newest technology?
I sent her a rig.
Yeah, he sent me one. Isn't that nice? I mean, this is the benefit of working with Jason Segel. You get a package in the mail and it's like you've got the latest virtual reality technology. My 8-year-old daughter was like, "Oh my God." So yeah, it was really great. But you know what's awesome was the horror stuff.
Yeah.
Like the games at this point they're still pretty, they're not what you can get on a, PlayStation or a PC. But oh my gosh, the horror, being in that environment and having somebody sneak up behind you, it's crazy. It's going to change the way that we experience that genre.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
A virtual haunted house kind of feeling.
Yeah, because the deck is really stacked in their favor
Right.
because it goes back to the body issue you were saying.
Yeah.
Also, your actual body is vulnerable and you can't see
Right.
what's going on in the real room. So it's double scary.
Right, yeah. And were you guys gamers as, when you were kind of this age or when you were teenagers, were you both big gamers?
I was into a game called Myst, and then I was also really into choose your own adventure books.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah, which I think does actually qualify as gaming in a way, because you're
Reading, gaming, hybrid.
yeah, it's this weird hybrid. I loved them. If you guys haven't done a choose your own adventure book, they're a blast.
Yeah. I mean, I had a sister and a brother, and we had all the game consoles growing up, but there was a constant war over who got to play them. So I never felt like I got enough time for my for my gaming passion when I was living at home in high school. But by the time I got to college, I got deep. I fell down that rabbit hole in a big way. Like I would play Tomb Raider for like 12 hours straight.
Oh.
Yeah, which kind of explains my grades in college. Just like a little warning to all of you. So,
But it turned out pretty well, I think.
yeah.
If only you could have told them, I'll be writing books about this in
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah, it worked out in the end.
Yeah. What about in the book? There's so many different kinds of technology. It's not just kind of one umbrella of virtual. Did you guys have a favorite of sort of the sub-technology in there from the book?
Well, I don't know if favorite is the right word because it all ends up taking sort of a dark turn, as you know, but I think part of what we envisioned is already a company like Amazon takes care of a lot of our needs if that's what we choose. Like they'll bring you everything from, streaming content to your TV to your toilet paper. I mean,
Right.
they really cover the gamut. And so we sort of extended that idea that what if one company decided we're going to take care of all of your needs.
Right.
We're going to provide the virtual world, and we're also going to take care of your body while you're in there. What happens if Amazon becomes all you need?
Right.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah,
And-
well,
yeah.
it's close, right?
No,
We're
it
not
is
too
very
far
close.
away. Yeah.
And the way that I guess if you describe it as the rabbit hole, the sort of the opening of just the start of the descent into this weird world is that this company has come up with a technology, a way to use virtual reality that I think is really great. I mean, they've found a way to help people who are unable to move and unable to sort of communicate with the world, and they use virtual reality to let them get out of their hospital beds. And that's a really, really wonderful use of virtual technology, reality technology, and that's just the start. It's sort of, you start somewhere good, you start somewhere meaningful, you start with an idea that will help people, and then slowly that just gets a little bit more and more and more wrong. And the changes are so subtle and so simple that sometimes you don't even see them coming.
Right.
I just realized, just to give people a brief synopsis of what the book is about so they know what we're talking about. Basically, there is a new form of virtual reality, a new release that engages all 5 of the senses, and everyone's very excited. And it's planned to be used for therapy for people who are in comas or have locked-in syndrome or have some life injury so that they can't move around. But there's this other game called Otherworld, and Otherworld is basically like World of Warcraft. And that technology becomes applied to World of Warcraft, where all of a sudden you can go into this world and have all of your senses engaged and do everything you've ever wanted to do. And basically, Jeff Bezos or someone, the head of this company, becomes so seduced by his own avatar. He loves being God in this world that he decides that he's going to live there full time. and basically he kidnaps this guy's best friend named Kat, and our main character has to go in and rescue her, and she turns out to be tougher than he is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I loved their relationship, and sort
Yeah.
of it was really not cliched. You know, he was kind of into her, and it turns out she sort of has to protect him.
Well, that was Kirsten. Honestly, my influences are things like,
Yeah.
it's true, my influences are things like Princess Bride or something, where you have this
The
model.
guy saves the girl.
Yeah, where the guy saves the girl. And when I gave Kirsten my outline, she's like, I really like this story, except for one thing. We're not doing that to girls. We're writing badass women, and she's going to, yeah.
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 This girl, Kat,
I would-
when you guys read it, she's
And-
super badass.
Yeah, just to show you how far we've come, The Princess Bride is now an Amazon warrior. So you have Robin Wright Penn.
Right.
You know, started off as The Princess Bride, and now,
And now
she's
she's
kicking
like
serious butt
House
with
of
Wonder
Cards.
Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But it was really important. After she said that, it really rung true. Like, it was really important to us that Kat, when he goes, you know, sort of with young male brain, I need to go rescue this girl. And when he finds her, she's like, I'm glad you're here, but you better keep up.
Beat it, dude.
Yeah, I have a plan, and let's go do this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I really liked that. And their relationship sort of grounds you back into
Yeah.
reality a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you guys had to take one thing from the real world and bring it into Otherworld, and sort of, what would be the one thing you would need? Sort of the virtual deserted island question.
Yeah, sure. Some version of snacks.
Yes,
I like
I know, they never eat.
Yeah, Lunchables.
Yeah.
Do, are there
Key
still,
lime pie?
Are there still Lunchables? Yeah. Lunchables. That's what I'd
Obviously.
have, yeah.
I'm obsessed with, so in Otherworld, you can only choose one tool. And you know, so what tool would I would choose a Swiss Army knife, of course. Like one of those huge, thick ones with everything in it. I'm absolutely fascinated by those, and I've had 2 taken away by the TSA.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like, don't try to get on a plane with a Swiss
That would be
Army
good
knife.
too, because
Yeah.
you could help Jason open his Lunchables. You know, that gets stuck sometimes. It would be good. Good teamwork there. Now, what about, you know, writing as a team? I
Yeah.
assume, you said, you know, Kirsten kind of brought up that idea. How do you guys do that? How do you work together?
Well, they've been different each time. This is our 5th book together. Our first series was called Nightmares. And Nightmares was it was the first script I ever wrote. When I
You
was like,
wrote it as a script.
Yeah, I wrote it when I was 21 years old. Right after Freaks and Geeks got canceled, I wrote Nightmares, and it got bought, and I was super excited. I thought that means like,
That's it.
here we go. And then it never got made. And so 7 years later, I had the opportunity to buy it back. So I took it back, and I decided I wanted to turn it into a kid's book, but I had no idea how to do that. So I got introduced to Kirsten, who's a genius, and I don't know if you guys have read her Kiki Strike series, but she's like an amazing author, and she helped me adapt it. And then from there, we sort of formed this partnership.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how do you decide who does what? And do you kind of agree on every single word? You know, that's
Kirsten does huge swaths of the first pass, and then we
Right.
start handing it back and forth, and you know, like refining, and I do dialogue stuff, and
that would make sense.
she says I'm good at the mushy stuff.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. If ever we need to have like a touching moment or like a little love moment, I'm like, Jason, I think you need to handle this one. He's really good at it.
But we have a good Venn diagram of skills, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we spend a lot of time, and if anybody out there, if any of you guys are writers, this is the biggest piece of advice that I have to give, and it's also the one that's the most painful for me personally. Like, we spend so much time before a single word gets written, just figuring out what's going to be in the book, how the action's going to move along, what we want to say. I mean, we write very, very long outlines, and we do that together, and we spend a lot of time talking about it. So before, you know, he was talking about, often did like a first pass, but the story is essentially already written. Like, we
'Cause
know
you've done the
exactly
outline.
what we want to
Yeah.
say, and that's the part that takes the most time often and is the most painful. But if you have that outline, it's like somebody holding your hand as you walk the book,
Yeah.
as you write the book.
Outlining, that's actually good practical advice because it applies to a script also. It wasn't until I started writing professionally, because I had written casually.
Right.
And I would say Nightmares as a script was written casually. I was young, you know. I sort of did it by the seat of my pants at night, you know. But I've learned that outlining is the key, because I then ran into a couple instances where I got 60 pages into what should be a 120-page script and realized, oh, there's not
What
120
now?
pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not a full story, and you've spent, you know, 2-3 months already,
Right.
and realize, oh, I guess I'm throwing this away.
Right, yeah. I mean, a good structure and plot
Yeah.
can take it much further.
Yeah.
And how, you know, a lot of authors, and hopefully we have a lot of writers in here, you know, budding writers, use book groups or friends to read their books. And I wonder if that's more difficult because you're obviously a high-profile person and a high-profile team. Yeah. Do you guys let other people read your work, friends? Do you have a group who does that, or you just use each other?
We're loners.
Yeah, we're loners. We use
Yeah.
each other and then turn it in at the end. For scripts, I have a group of about 3 or 4 people who I let read the scripts, and they give me notes.
Seth?
No, because you know what? Actually, it was for a long time, but I've started to write less comedy over the past like 5 years. So I did a movie called End of the Tour where I played David Foster Wallace.
That's
and that,
pretty heavy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That director has become one of my best friends. He's one of my readers. I did a movie called The Discovery about life after death, and that guy's one of my readers. I'm liking a little bit weirder stuff these days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that the Discovery is coming out on Netflix.
It's out on Netflix.
out, yeah.
It's available. It's a real weird, funky one, but if you like sci-fi and life after death, check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's another
it's great.
sci-fi world.
Yeah.
I was actually when Kirsten, when you were saying these ideas start with the best intentions, it seemed like that's kind of behind that one too.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what is real also. I guess we're all kind of having a zeitgeisty moment of like, feels like there's a glitch in the code.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe we are in the Matrix.
Yeah.
No, I think we're getting to that point where, you know, we've introduced all of this stuff that seems really great and really fun, and things are just now starting to go a bit wrong. Like, who would have thought 5 years ago that any other foreign government would be on Facebook in any way trying to impact our elections? I mean, it's just sort of like there are all these things happening that nobody anticipated.
Right.
And I think it's time to start thinking about what could happen next and how do we stop it and what are we going to do about it, and, you know.
Yeah. And we were also promised this idea that social media was going to bring us closer together.
Right.
And my experience is it gives a lot of people cause to be very mean to each other, hiding behind their avatars or their screen names.
Yeah.
And we've said it before, but it feels a little like road rage.
Yeah.
Where you
That's
have,
true.
Yeah.
You're in your cars, so you can say anything.
That's right. You have this
Yeah.
anonymity, and you know, there's somebody who's getting their feelings hurt on the other end.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't see it, but like I experience it a lot as a famous person, where most people say really nice things, but if even 1% of my Twitter followers don't like me, it's like 25,000 people.
Right.
That's a lot of people
Right.
being like, you're ugly or you're stupid.
Right.
And that, I mean, occasionally I'll read something. I've learned to let it exist where it's supposed to, but sometimes I'll be like, oh gosh, they know the truth.
Yeah. You're like, wait, so when my mom told me I was okay,
I know. It's the
she
weird,
was lying?
It's this weird phenomenon where I'm like, oh, those other 2.3 million people are friends with my mom. And it's that other 1%.
No, it's hard to like. It's hard to you know, like it's a random thing. Once in a while, somebody will tweet something really mean to me or something like that. But it's just sort of, you know, that one person. It's like I had somebody write to me and say, "I want to punch your book in the face," and I was like, "Why? I don't get it."
Yeah.
But you know, you're welcome to
You're
your
like, well,
opinion.
maybe you
but
just should get it out
thank
of your
you for
system.
sharing that with me.
Yeah.
That made my day.
It is a weirdly funny thing to say.
I know it is. But
Well, that's like that's why those mean tweets that, you know, Jimmy Kimmel does are so
Yeah.
funny because you hear it out loud and it's like that doesn't even make sense. Do you
Totally.
remember any like one comment or either on yourself or the books that really you were like that sticks with me?
Well, you know, honestly, about 5 years ago, I just stopped using social media. Because I realized something else. In addition to the mean stuff, what I realized was that every time I was at dinner, there was a third party at the table, and it was Twitter. You know, there was
Yeah.
somebody else with me at all times, and I found myself compulsively checking because, you know, your body's like a little chemical factory, and you get a little pop every time you get
Right,
like a mention
right.
or like a like or something. And I started to realize, oh, I'm going back to this thing like the way a mouse goes to that the food pellets, you know.
Right.
And it was interesting that 5 years where I took off, I all of a sudden realized I was much more present.
Yeah.
And I was much more focused on the actual people around me. And I'm back on now, but I just use it. Actually, you gave me really good advice. When I said I'm going to go back on, she was like, just post something and then walk away.
Right. That's probably great advice for this audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all on, you guys are all on social media a lot. I can
Yeah.
imagine, like, when I was your age, if I had that much feedback, I don't
Yeah.
know how people
Well,
can keep going.
Yeah.
It's, you know, beyond the feedback and the mean stuff, one of the things that we get asked a lot is, you know, where do you find inspiration?
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that you are not going to find inspiration on Twitter or Instagram or any of the other. You know, you find inspiration as a writer or as a creative person in any profession by like actually going out and walking around and paying attention and listening in on people's conversations and watching what they do in private and looking at trying to look for things that nobody else looks at or sees. That's where you find inspiration. You don't find
Yeah.
it, you know, from funny Twitter.
Yeah. There's also, you know, I don't know that the best version of us is the part of us we can reduce to 140 characters.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know, the best issues are nuanced and complicated, and I don't know, anything I've ever arrived at that's been of value has been a result of a long conversation,
Right.
you know? If it's that simple, what's the use of exploring it?
Right. What about, was it, you know, your previous books were a younger age group. So this was it hard to get into the teen mindset? And did you kind of find yourself going back to like how you felt as a teenager?
I think we're both kind of stuck in our
Still
teenage
teenagers? Yeah.
No, hugely, yeah. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, it's fun. I love writing. Writing for teens is great. I mean, it's writing for younger kids is wonderful because you get a sense that you can really kind of warp their minds, and you feel very powerful. But with teenagers, you know, it's you know, you can start really talking about big ideas, and you know, the action can get a bit rougher, and you know, the language can get a little bit rougher here and there, and it's great. It's very liberating, especially after you've come from writing middle grade books where you know, you feel like you have to be very, very careful that everything's very, teenagers, you can be a little bit freer.
I was also a highly nerdy teenager.
Yeah.
Or outsider. I didn't
Right.
feel like I fit in. I kind of lived between groups.
Right.
And so every time I try to write a character that age, I write myself to some extent.
Yeah.
Just that, you know, it's that real Catcher in the Rye feeling of like, it can't just be this.
Right.
Look at all these people buying
Right.
into this thing, this weird system.
This can't be all there is.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting to think you've obviously been extremely successful since you were a teenager.
Yeah.
Is it, you know, hard to go back and kind of re-tap into that insecurity and that sort of...
Well, everything that I've done that's been successful has
You
been
played
about
an
being a
insecure
totally insecure weirdo.
It's true.
Yeah, I've always kind of walked this weird line between like charming, creepy
Right.
outsider.
Right, right.
I'm just very comfortable there.
Yeah, good. And it's also, you know, YA now is not only teens. There's so much crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, I read a lot of YA books. I know a lot of people do. So was it sort of, were you also thinking about the adults that would read this? You know, there's plenty of gamers, not, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, that would probably love it.
Well, I think, you know, the best advice is, you know, when you're doing anything of this sort, no matter who your audience is write for yourself first. That's right. And write a story that you find interesting and a story that, you know, you want to tell, because it doesn't matter who the audience is if you're not into it. I mean, writing is hard work. I mean, it is not easy, and anybody who thinks it is far luckier and more gifted than I am, for sure. But, you know, it's, you know, you've got to be into it. And, you know, writing for teens, you know, you put that filter on, and it helps you do that, but it still has to be a story that you want to tell.
Right. Were you guys big readers as teens? Did you have certain books you loved, or?
I became a much bigger reader as I got older. I did like reading, but as I got older, I realized, and I started traveling a lot, I realized, oh, I get to bring a friend with me every time I travel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It becomes this like,
you don't feel lonely when you have a book.
yeah, it's really true.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many hotel lobbies I've sat in reading a book when I was missing home
Yeah.
and felt like, all right, well, I've got you to keep me company on this trip. The last time I did that was a press tour, and I read the entire Lev Grossman Magician series.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you read them, but it's
Not the whole thing.
Oh, it's 3 books, and they're
first
great.
Yeah,
I
they're
highly recommend them. And I remember, like, these were my friends, all
Yeah.
these characters, and I cried at the end unabashedly in a hotel lobby. Everyone thought something was wrong with me, but I was very happy.
They're like, he must be reading Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
His
Someone
comments.
just insulted him.
And what about you, Kirsten? Were you a big reader?
was, you know, like, I'm every bit as weird as Jason is. I mean, when I was a teenager, I mean, my thing, and I still love it. I've always been a huge fan of horror. I love it. I love ghost stories. I love blood and guts. I love everything about it. So I read basically everything Stephen King ever wrote as a teenager. And yeah, right.
Ooh,
And
still
I
has a good
swear,
audience.
and this is the sad part. I to this day sleep with all the lights on. It's
No
true.
way. You
have
I
to.
do. I do.
Because you're
Not-
scared?
Yeah. Because
What do you think was the most disturbing one of his books?
let me think. I do remember very vividly reading it.
Yeah.
When I was like maybe 12 or 13 years old, and being completely freaked out by it.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at my aunt's house in Los Angeles, and it was a bright, sunny day, and I'm sitting out by the pool, and I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it was,
he can
yeah.
make things scary in the daytime
But
even.
it was great. It was, yeah, I loved all that
His
stuff.
book about writing is amazing too.
See, that's the one I
If there's
haven't
any
read.
writers here,
Yeah.
did you read that?
I haven't read it.
It's
no.
really great.
So you're scared of the dark.
I am.
Whoa.
I think like, you know, people with very active imaginations
Yeah.
are often
Yeah.
scared of the dark,
Yeah.
aren't they?
You're not, Jason?
I'm not so
No.
scared of the dark. I'm scared of other stuff, but I'm not so scared of the dark.
Such
I'm
as?
not scared of the dark. I'm scared of what's in the dark.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
There's a
Ah.
huge difference.
Which is interesting because like you were saying about the virtual reality, you're like detached. There's
Yeah.
sort of this darkness out there,
Totally.
and you don't know. What are you scared of, Jason?
I'm scared of hurting people's feelings. It keeps me up at night.
He's not making that up. Like,
No,
I'm not. That's the thing, is he's 100% sincere.
It's true. Like,
That's really sweet.
well, I have a little OCD about it. Like, I will review the day every night, being like, oh man,
Really?
I wonder if that thing like hit some insecurity of theirs and made them feel bad, or I wonder if they're thinking about it. And then I heard it was a first lady. Some first lady said you would be far less concerned about what people think of you if you knew how rarely they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably true.
Harriet Truman? Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
I like, that's interesting that that's very non-Hollywood, that you're thinking of the other instead of yourself all day.
It's still a highly self-centered point of view.
Okay. Because eventually it reflects back on you.
That's
Right. What about, you guys have obviously worked very closely together.
Yeah.
How would you describe your co-author in 3 words?
Oh.
I'll start. He needs to
Woo
think about this
is
one.
one of them, so that's taken.
Here, I'll start.
Okay.
So I think in 3 words. I mean, Jason's a stand-up guy. I mean, like that's like
That's
I know that's
nice.
more than 3 words, but like he's
A stand-up guy.
there. You go.
We'll
There
count
you
that as
go.
one.
I did it inadvertently. Like he's just like.
I feel like it's hyphenated. We'll make
I
it
know,
one.
I know.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, is Jason as nice as he seems? And I'm like, you know what? He's nicer. Like, and
Wow.
it's true. It's like just sort of, and always dependable. Like, works harder than almost anybody else I've ever met. And just sort of, the whole package.
Wow.
That's really sweet.
Sorry, was that bad?
No, that
Did
was
that sound
really,
like,
that warmed my
sound
heart.
like-
This
okay.
is also our last stop on the press tour,
Yeah,
so it's
So
like,
you're really
like-
milking it.
we're
You're-
getting
you
it
know.
all out. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are our last. I'm gonna go with generous, brilliant, spooky.
Ooh,
Yeah,
spooky.
definitely spooky.
Yeah.
No, because I saw a ghost. I had a ghost story.
She had a
from
ghost,
the last stop
a
on the
ghost
tour.
sighting on our last stop. In
Where was it?
In Charleston.
Charleston, South
Ooh.
Carolina.
Yeah, it was
I feel
really.
like that could
I
make
didn't
sense.
actually see it. It opened a door for me.
Yeah.
Not
So
joking.
you mean like a door opened?
Yeah, okay, so very quickly, we went on a ghost tour and we stopped by this old building in Charleston called the Old Exchange in Provost Dungeon. They were talking about how it was haunted by a Revolutionary War hero who
Right.
had been kept upstairs. And the next morning I was walking around, I was like, maybe that place is open. And I get there and it's just me and this one kind of odd lady. And I went upstairs to use the bathroom and I reached for the door and the door swung open for me. And the ladies' room was right next to the room where that Revolutionary War hero had been
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my ghost story.
That was the fastest she
It's
ever
not
peed.
the most
And then
exciting
the old
ghost
lady.
story.
Yeah, right?
But it's not the most exciting ghost story, but I think it's very important to point out that some ghosts are nice and they open doors for you.
I mean, ghosts really do get a bad rap, so I think that's
Yeah.
nice of you. It's
Yeah.
really, you know.
I mean, this guy was a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
He was polite. It was a polite
He was a
ghost.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Who may have watched you go to the bathroom.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's neither here nor there.
We don't
Yeah.
know which side of the door
Right.
he was on, right?
Right, exactly. Either
I
a nice
choose to
ghost
say
or a
hero.
pervert. Yeah.
He just likes opening doors for ladies.
What about if you have to describe yourself in 3 words?
Oh man.
That's much harder,
Well, dashing.
obviously.
No, I don't know. I don't know. If describing myself is impossible.
It's very hard.
Are you self-reflective enough to describe yourself?
Let's see. Well, I just know I'm very deeply weird.
Yeah.
There you go. 3
Deeply
words.
what?
Weird.
Right, right.
I always have, I'm like interested in weird stuff. I always have been. Like, I like, walking around and, watching what other people do.
Yeah.
It's like,
Observant.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I agree. I am lucky to have a girlfriend who I love very much, who I feel like really knows me and speaks to me in a way that I feel very seen. And at one point, like a year into us dating, she said to me, like, why do you keep making these, she's not in the business at all.
Right.
Right? She's like an outside perspective. She's like, why do you keep making romantic comedies? And I said, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're so weird. You should be making like weird stuff. Let your freak flag fly.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's interesting.
It really meant a lot to me, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for thinking I'm a total weirdo
Yeah.
and not romantic.
So now I let my freak flag fly.
That's great.
Yes.
We gotta do, okay, we're gonna, sure, well, we wanna hear a little bit about, there's 2 more books in this series.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it ends on, I don't wanna give anything away, but obviously a place where that has to keep going. What can we expect from the next 2? The next one is called Earthworld?
Other Earth.
Other Earth.
Yes.
And it's coming out next year?
Yes.
Same time next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a simple thing to say is it only gets funkier.
Yeah.
We really let the freak flag fly.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We're really proud and really excited about it.
And then there's gonna be a 3rd.
And then there's a 3rd where we just blow the roof off.
Are you guys working on that now?
Yeah, I guess we're
Yeah.
going to start outlining it.
Yeah. I mean, we know where it needs to go, but we need to start. We need to start that laborious outline process pretty soon.
Yeah. And I have to get one more in that I think is really fun, and then I know we're gonna let the audience ask some questions.
Yeah.
If you could spend a week in the world of a different sci-fi movie or book or TV show, what would it be?
I think I might enjoy to be in Animal Farm.
Why does that fix everything?
Well, because I feel as though I would be the ruler of Animal
Oh,
Farm.
there you go.
Aren't we in Animal Farm
Lord of the
right now?
Flies.
I think we're there. Yeah.
It's hard to say, but I've talked about this movie before, but I don't know if people I feel like it's skipped a generation or something, and a lot of people don't know about this movie, but when I was, I don't know, a little bit younger than you guys, my favorite movie was a film called Time Bandits, which is super awesome.
Oh, check it out. You'll love
Yeah.
it.
So it's about, let's just say it's a band of very small criminals who kidnap a kid and take him. They have a map of the universe, and they know where all the sort of the holes in the universe are. So they travel through time, and they drag this kid along with them. And it's really, it's the weirdest movie ever. But because they're in search of the most fabulous object in the universe. And it's really,
It's like the serious version of Bill and Ted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which also, I don't know
Oh,
if you
there's
guys
nothing
have seen.
serious about it. It's very funny and strange.
That's fun. All right, well, we're going to be taking questions.
So the way this will work, Jason, are you still in the room? We have the bouncer in the room somewhere. We have a microphone set up right there in the middle aisle. If students who have a question would queue up there behind the microphone, and we have about 10 minutes for questions. So if you want to come to the mic and
This is exciting.
all right. Okay. If there's one thing we
All
all
right,
know
you
how
wanna
to
go
do,
ahead?
it's stand in line. Okay, great. I'm going to ask for a little bit of quiet so we can hear the student question. And so please tell us your name, your school, and your question is quick, concise.
My name is Gabriela Rodriguez. I'm here from Miami Springs Senior
Hold,
High.
hold on, I can't,
We're
I
going
can't
to have
hear
to
you.
start over so we can hear what she says.
My name is Gabriela Rodriguez, and I'm here from Miami Springs Senior High School.
Hello.
And I wanted to ask, since you guys are talking about all the virtual reality, what would you like to say to all the technological teenagers who aspire to one day revolutionize the virtual world?
Wow. That's the best
Yeah.
question that we've had on the entire press tour.
She's way smarter than I
So-
am.
Well, I think that Kirsten Miller has actually talked a lot about this, but I feel like make sure you think through the negative potential and be very honest with the people that you're presenting this technology to about how this stuff can be used. Because like we were saying about social media, that was meant to change the world for the better, and I don't know that it has. I think if you look at what our world is like now, a lot of that is a consequence of anyone being able to say anything they want instantly. And we don't need to get too political, but it's led to some really crazy, unexpected consequences. And so I would just say that really think things through.
Yeah, think about humanity before you think about the money that you make or the things that you can do. Not everything that we can do should be done.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the important thing to keep in mind.
Thank
And
you.
then have fun. It's going to be awesome. Can you imagine?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Great question.
And our next question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. My question isn't as technical as hers. I just want to know what's your favorite movie and why.
Oh, my favorite movie to watch?
Yeah.
Wow. There's a movie called Broadcast News that I love very, very much. I think Back to the Future is a perfect movie.
Oh, wait.
I was trying to think of the right age movie. But I think Back to the Future is actually a perfectly written movie. It's high concept, it's funny, it's sci-fi, it's everything I love in a movie.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure changed my life. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Claudia Carujo, and I attend Miami Springs Senior High.
Cool.
Jason, do you by any chance have James Franco's number, and may I have it? No.
What did you
James
say?
Franco?
Yeah,
James
what
Franco's number?
do I have his number? No.
No, anyway. So as an aspiring writer, would you recommend any specific authors? This is to both of you. Anyone who inspired you as young people that wrote and maybe resonated enough to make you write yourself?
Yeah, that's another great question. Well, for me, actually, the book that inspired me most writing-wise was actually a writing book, a technical writing book called The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler.
Okay.
And like, I know that it's probably, maybe that's like an amateurish thing to say, I don't know, but it really, really helped me. And it was filled with diagrams and simple explanations. And as someone, like, I didn't go to college, and so being able to, I felt like I was taking a course in writing.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I'm really good with instructions.
Okay.
Like, I can follow instructions really well. And in this book, it basically laid out, like, around this page, this thing should happen.
It's super helpful.
Yeah, and around this page, like, a mentor should show up and give some advice. And around this page, the hero should fail before he can succeed. And I follow it even still today when I write a script or when we do an outline.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
The Book of Lists, which is, I don't even know if it's still in print, but when I was a kid, there were these books of just lists, but they weren't just any lists. They were lists of, say, the rarest diseases in the world, or the most prolific serial killers, or things like that.
Cool.
And I was so fascinated by these lists, which, I mean, if you ever read any of my books, they're filled with lists because, I don't know, that's just how I think now.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello.
My name is Alex Michelle. I go to South Miami Senior High School.
Cool.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you. Wait, hold on.
You got it. You got this.
Just had the question. Hold on.
How do you memorize your lines?
Oh, I wanted to ask you. Wait, hold on. Oh, when are you gonna put me in your next movie?
When am I gonna put you in my next movie? Yes. When I do my next movie.
Ah, you wanna get my number?
You're in it right now.
I'll write down my number. I'll give it to you. No, but I wanted to ask you. Damn, I really forgot. Never mind.
All right.
Jump back in if you think of it.
Oh yeah.
Just
Yeah.
stand just right on the side. We'll let the next student go, and then you come back if you think of it.
Good morning, my name is Wendell.
That happens to me too.
And I want to ask you, since you was talking about gamers, how can you relate gamers and writers like work together? Because sometimes you don't find like gamers to like to read books on other stuff and do all the things together.
That's a good question.
How do you relate writers and gamers? Well, I think sci-fi is actually a good area where that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting question, and I think it's one that needs to be talked about a lot more. Because, I mean, I think that there are ways to bring those two worlds together, and I don't think anybody has done it perfectly yet. And I would love to find, I mean, I don't think, you know what, it was somebody in Britain asked me the other day, it was something similar. You know, would you tell kids to choose games or kids to choose books? And I'm like, of course, books.
Yeah.
I write books. I get paid for the books. But, you know, I don't think it's an either-or thing anymore. I think we need to find more ways to bring them together and make the reading experience more interactive or make the gaming experience more literary. I think that there's something that can happen there, and I don't think anybody's done it yet. But
Well,
great
you guys
question.
did a great job. When you guys read the book, you'll see you feel like you're in a game, but you're reading. So it's sort of both of those parts of your imagination coming together.
If nothing else, I think what those two worlds have in common is that they're both active forms of entertainment. At least your brain is engaged. When you sit back and just watch 10 hours of TV, I don't think it's a healthy way to entertain yourself.
So we have time for one more question, and if the student who forgot remembers, let's give him a shot. However, I want to announce the autographing will happen in the green autograph zone, and the rule is we'd like you to stay seated for a few minutes after they leave the stage so we can get all organized, okay? Last question?
Hi, my name is Sophia. I go to Hialeah Senior High.
Hi.
And we're extra. I'm sorry about that. And I just wanted to know if you can sing the chorus of the Muppet Man song.
Uh-oh.
Ready? That was her question.
Sing the chorus.
She asked if I would sing the chorus of the Muppet Man song. I'd be happy to for you.
Yay.
Thank you guys for all coming out and getting a book. Am I a man or am I a Muppet? If I'm a Muppet, then I'm a very manly Muppet. Am I a Muppet or am I a man? If I'm a man, that makes me a Muppet of a man.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank
let's
you
give
guys
them a
so
round of
much.
you.
applause.
Thank you.
This is the best.